Hi, good morning. My name is Kate, and today I wanted to take a little bit of time to go back through some history and talk about who I am, how I was raised, and who I am today, and the difference that I feel today than I felt when I was younger. So, I come from a really large family. I grew up in upstate New York, very cold, very snowy. We were very poor. When I say very poor, I mean very poor. We lived off of government programs. My parents had a lot of children together, and even though we were super poor, it was awesome having that number of brothers and sisters. I know I look around today, and very rarely do I see families the same size as ours, and I feel bad for those kids not having a bunch of siblings that they can always be around and count on. And I said in an earlier video that I just went home last weekend and spent some time with my family, and I absolutely love it. I love having that many siblings. Whether I have things in common with them now as an adult, I do have historically our childhood and the experiences that we shared together when we were children, regardless of the amount of money that we had. So I really enjoy that, and I really look forward to being able to, in the future, spend a little more time at home. I'm really fortunate to have a job where I can work anywhere in the United States. So I can pick up and go back to New York for a couple of months out of the year. I'd like to be able to do that moving forward. Spend the majority of my time in Florida, which is where I currently live, and I absolutely love Florida, and then spend a little bit of time around my daughter and my soon-to-be granddaughter and her boyfriend in wherever they happen to live. Currently, they live in South Carolina, so I'd like to be able to go and spend, a month or two near them out of the year as well. And like I said, I'm fortunate I have a job where I can work anywhere that I am, so I'm really looking forward to be able to make those changes. I am going to wait to start doing that stuff on a longer basis until my son graduates in May of 2025. So I'm going to just enjoy the time that I have with him. Anyways, back to historical. So I was one of the youngest. I had many older brothers and sisters, and only two siblings younger than me, one brother, one sister. And so we grew up in a really small town in upstate New York, and so everybody knew each other. We happened to live in the projects. Like I said, we were on government assistance, so we were on welfare, had food stamps, lived in the project, so it's government housing. And to me, it was great, right? Because I always had people to play with, even outside of my brothers and sisters. There were always other families with other children that lived there. So to me, it was great. We had a basketball court out back. We had a nice big field where we could play baseball, etc. So, and in the wintertime, my mom would make the the back part of the basketball court. It didn't used to be a basketball court, but before it was a basketball court, she would spray it down with water, and we would make our own little ice skating rink out there so that we didn't have to go the half mile up to the public ice skating place because we couldn't afford to get in. So, um, so we still had those experiences. We still were able to be outside in the snow, and because the project was a project, there's a very large parking lot, and so they would come and they would plow that, and we would end up with this really big bank of snow, and we'd play King of the Hill and make igloos and stuff like that inside there. It was really just really cool. I don't like the cold any longer, and I left upstate New York pretty soon after I graduated high school, and really have never gone back. Anyways, growing up with that many brothers and sisters, there's always competition in a family, and I was always pretty emotional, and I was always feeling not as smart as them. Of course, you're not going to be smarter than people that are older than you in general, because they have more life experience and they've learned more than you, right? Because they've been alive longer. My dad was pretty big on education, and my mom was the worker, right? My mom had had 3 jobs to take care of us because my father was not reliable. He had a drinking problem. And so he was big on education. He wanted us to learn a lot. He wanted to teach us a lot. And not just on education, but life skills as well, like how to change a tire on your car, how to change oil in your car. Since he had so many girls and not as many boys, he had told me once that he didn't want me to be dependent on a man to do basic things. He wanted me to be able to do those on my own. So I'm not saying that I changed my own oil or anything like that, because I definitely do not. But I could if I had to, and I have changed tires on my car, and on my son's car, my ex-husband's car, and my daughter's car. So my daughter's also capable of doing those things on her own, because I thought that I should teach her the same things that my dad taught me. So um, he wanted us to be able to shoot a gun, right? So I was able to do that at a relatively young age. Anyways, the competition in a family, you know, is good and it's bad if you have low self-confidence, which I did. I suffered from that. I suffered greatly from a lack of self-confidence as far as learning all through school, whether it was in elementary school, middle school, or high school. I always felt really, really stupid. I was encouraged by outside families. I was encouraged by my own family too, of course, to study and to learn. But that's just not something that I took seriously just because I didn't feel skilled at it. And into my 20s, I felt that way. I really felt like I was stupid, right? That I could not learn. Well, well, proving to myself at the same time that I could. I mean, I was a bookkeeper for my brother's business at 16. Um, at 19, I moved to Boston, Massachusetts, and was a bookkeeper for a law firm there. So it's not like I had no skill sets. I just didn't rely on those skill sets as a way to prove to myself that I could learn things and become, you know, a better person, or be a person that can actually learn new skills and count them as, um, you know, someone that's able to learn. So fast forward, my life experience has been a little vast, right? I went to college right after high school. Uh, like I said, we were poor. The government paid for it. If I wanted to stay in college, I could have gotten a full bachelor's degree completely paid for. I didn't. I didn't focus in my first semester of college. I started drinking, which I hadn't done in high school, and I flunked out after my first semester. And because the government's paying for it, they're not going to pay for it if you are, messing up. So, anyways, I left college, moved to Boston, met someone there. We went on a trip to the Virgin Islands, and then I moved to the Virgin Islands a month later. And then I stayed there for several years, which I really, really enjoyed. No kids, so just on my own. Worked as a landscaper, which I absolutely loved. I wanted to be outside, which is why I moved to the Virgin Islands from upstate New York, which was really cold and snowy. And I just loved it. There I also felt like I was not a great learner. So even into my mid 20s, I was still really lacking self confidence. I I did go to college while I was in St. John. I would take the ferry over and go to St. Thomas University and finish some of my courses there. There was a bad hurricane in 1995, so moved stateside and went to Virginia. It wasn't until I got to Virginia that I really started building some confidence. Um, my ex-husband and I were separated, got pregnant, and then we had already known that we weren't going to stay together, even though we were pregnant with my daughter. And so at that point in my lifetime, I was like, well, I need to develop a skill set, which I did not have, and figure out a way to take care of my daughter. I was teaching aerobics, kickboxing, and waiting tables at that point. So I didn't really have any skill sets to count on. I hadn't gone to college, finished college, and didn't have a degree to fall back on either, even though I had, probably 90% of a bachelor's degree completed at that point. And most of those credits didn't transfer. Anyways, I I decided that I was going to go to a technical college in Virginia as a certification course, so not actual college, right? That technical college, ECPI, had an MCSE track that I took, and you had to take A plus and Net plus and Security plus, all of those things first, and get your MCSA before you get your MCSE. So I did all of those. It took me about a year and a half to complete those during nighttime courses after my daughter was born. And that was something that I was not skilled in. I didn't know anything about computers. I didn't know how to put computers together, how to make them work, how to put software on them, anything like that. But I did learn all those things in that course. So I went through all of the courses, passed all of my tests, and then at the end of it, got my certifications. So I was able to learn a completely new skill set and developed a little bit of confidence because it was really, really difficult for me. I didn't know anything about it, so I felt like I was starting from ground zero, which I was. So I completed that and then was able to get my first job at a Naval Medical Center in Portsmouth, Virginia, and I did that for 2 years at a help desk. I ran backups overnight and helped clear medical devices that needed to be cleared, change passwords. Like, I did that for 2 years while my daughter was very little. And fortunately, during the day, I was able to stay home with her. I worked overnight, and I was able to be with her during the day for the first 3 years until I put her into a Montessori program. I stayed at that Naval Medical Hospital for 2 years till I was confident in my skill set there, and then I went out and I got a help desk job at a newspaper in Virginia, which I stayed at for 6 years, and I absolutely loved that job. I learned a lot at that job. I have been really fortunate over my career to have excellent managers, people that mentor me, whether they're my actual mentors or not, but just seeing how they work, and how they live their lives as Christians. I've been very, very fortunate to be mentored and supervised by all Christians, and I think that's benefited me highly. So in this time frame, now I've learned new skill sets, right? I learned the skill sets of aerobics and kickboxing and all those things too, and I never gave myself credit for that, but I did learn those things, and I got certified as an aerobics instructor. And then I learned computers and was able to finish my certifications in that. And then I learned how to do Unix backups and help desk functionality for a couple of years, and I was able to do that. Still, all this time, I was not confident in being able to learn. And it wasn't until YouTube came around that I really just started ingesting all kinds of information about all different topics. And I still spend a good deal of my day learning new things, learning about finances, learning about money, learning about health, learning about natural ways to heal things in my body, learning about better eating habits, and you name it. I love to learn about cars and all kinds of things. I have a huge fascination with construction for some reason, even though that's not the field that I'm in. I have been at my current job for 14 years, but I've been doing project management for IT for 20 years now, and I love it. So all of that to say is there is no limit on what you can learn, whether you go to college or you don't go to college. Now, fortunately, that newspaper that I worked at in Virginia, they had a employee reimbursement program for college. I'd gotten to a point where I couldn't make any other money because I didn't have a college degree, so they reimbursed me to go to college and finish my associate's degree, which I did, and then I was able to make a higher salary. So all of that to say that when when my back was against the wall and I needed a career path to be able to take care of myself and my daughter. Her dad was fantastic. I never had any issues with her dad and paying his child support. And our divorce, like I said, we were already separated when we got pregnant, so the divorce paperwork was very easy for us to do. He never lived far away from us, so we didn't have any problems with sharing custody or anything like that either. So that, even though a bad situation, it was as good as it could possibly be. And um, so I had to develop new skill sets so that I could make a way for the future to be able to take care of my daughter. Um, and not that I was doing that on my own, her dad was very present. So, but still, as a parent, when you don't feel confident, you don't feel like you can, earn enough money to be able to take care of the responsibilities that you have. I'm here to say that if you just put one step in front of the other and just make a small goal, achieve that small goal. The great thing about that technical college that I went to is you had to finish in a certain order. Like, so if you knew nothing about computers, right, A plus was your first way in. So you had to go through A plus and learn about the basic components of a computer, how to put it together, how to make it run, how to put software on it, how to basic troubleshoot it. So you finish A plus, and then you go to Security Plus, and then you go to Net Plus, and then you go to the 7 components that make up your MCSA and your MCSE. So, and then you test each way through it, right? So you take your A plus, you study for your exam, you go to a testing facility, you take that exam, one down, right? And I didn't pass them all the first time either, and so I would have to pay. I would have to pay to retake the test because in the course, you only got one test paid for. So if you didn't study well enough and you didn't pass it, you had to pay for it out of pocket outside of the tuition that you paid the technical college. Back then, that course included all the components that I needed to get through my A plus, Net plus, and my MCSA and my MCSE for $12,000. I have no idea how much that is now, but to me personally, that was the best money that I've ever spent. My ex-husband had to co-sign that loan for me because I had no credit. I didn't have any debt either, but I didn't have any credit at that point because I had never used credit cards or taken out loans or anything like that. So I did pay that back, within 3 or 4 years after starting working, etc. So I just want to say that if you feel like you have no skill sets, you have no way to boost your income to make more money, be where you are right now and be okay with that, whether you're working at 7-Eleven or driving a truck or doing whatever it is that you're doing, and then make tiny little goals and then achieve one of those goals and then move to the next. And sooner or later, you will build confidence because you are able to achieve those goals. I know I had said in one of my previous videos that I didn't have any goals when I was younger. I've done a little bit of therapy, not a little bit, I've done a lot of therapy over the years and have realized that the fact that I hadn't goal set was because of the uncertainty that I dealt with as a child. So no, makes no difference why, but you can always change those things. Just like you can change your path of, your career that you want to do, how much money you want to make. I mean, really, there's just no limit on those type of things. And I'm super grateful for YouTube because I have learned so much. I've learned much more on YouTube than I learned in that technical college or at St. Thomas University or the online degree that I got from my associates. So if you want to learn, the data's out there. You can just pour through as much of it as you want, and if you have an internet connection at home, like there's just no limit to what you can learn, and you don't need to carry around those Encyclopedia Britannicas, which my mom did have for us. Anyways, I'm here to say that set achievable small goals. Get to that one, move to the next, and you'd be amazed at what you can do in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and how you can develop yourself into a person that is confident in being able to learn new things and is confident in how they carry themselves at work and apply themselves. So I'm I'm proof that it can be done, from someone who had nothing to someone that has way more than I need. So I'm really happy. I hope that that encourages somebody out there. I hope that you look to God and the Holy Spirit to direct you, if you're a Christian. And if you're not a Christian, I welcome you to become one. And I hope that you all have a great and blessed day. I'll see you on the next video.